Roger Moore, and this is Hypnosis Health Info. You know, one of the challenges to weight loss is pressure, peer pressure from friends, pressure from family members. And that can have a big influence on someone's desire and the resolve to follow an eating strategy, a healthy eating strategy, and get to their goal weight. And, you know, I can remember a lot of years ago, this was back in the mid-70s. My wife and I, we lived in Minneapolis at the time, and we drove down to Iowa to my great-aunt's house. And this was back in the days when I used to weigh a lot of weight, more than I do now, and before losing the 110 pounds. And at that point, I had actually lost quite a bit of weight. I was probably 30-40 pounds heavier than I am now, but that was a low weight for me at that point in my life. And we walked into my great-aunt's house, and she took one look at me. She turned to my wife and just chewed her up one side and down the other, and just shook her finger and said, "What's the matter with you? Why aren't you feeding him? He looks picked," on and on and on. And then she proceeded to sit me down to a homemade dinner of homemade beans, slow-cooked beans, dried beans, and believe it or not, pig's feet. And then she had her homemade white bread and her homemade chocolate cake that was made from scratch, the whole bit. Very high-fat meal. And boy, from that moment on, over the next few months, I put all the weight that I'd lost on and even more, because that was such a pivotal thing, having that great aunt who I dearly loved and respected, shaking her finger saying, "What's the matter with you? Why aren't you feeding him?" Now, that's the impact that people in our lives can have on us. And one of the other challenges in all this is that choosing to be at a healthy, ideal weight in our culture, in our society, is abnormal. 65% of the U.S. population is overweight. And choosing to weigh the 149 pounds that I weigh now is abnormal. Most of my peers, most of my friends are overweight. Many of them are obese or even morbidly obese. So here I am choosing to exercise. Most people don't do that. Choosing to eat healthy. Most people really don't do that. It's really challenging. It's tough when your friends are going out to restaurants and they're eating high-calorie meals. Here in Seattle, maybe they're going to Dick's Drive-In and having the hamburger and fries and malt, a lot of fat, a lot of grease, or they go to a gourmet restaurant, or pretty much any restaurant, whether it's Denny's or Red Robin or some gourmet place, and they get large quantities of food, lots of fat, lots of sugar. They empty the plate. Remember, one of the strongest hypnotic suggestions ever given in the world was clean your plate, and we do that. And our serving portions in restaurants or even at home are way too large, but we clean our plate. That's how we were taught to do. We consume all those calories, and when your friends are doing it, it's a very tough challenge. Or, when I go visit my family members, my dad, he's almost 92 years old, Depression era. You don't waste food. And when I go into a restaurant and I only eat a little bit of the food on my plate and send the rest back, he just has a very tough time dealing with that, because it's wasteful. You don't waste food. And there's that pressure to eat it. Well, the options are, I can waste it by sending it back to the kitchen, or what I really like to do is box it up and hand it to a homeless person. Or I can waste it. I can put it on my own waste, which I've been there, done that too many times, too much of my life, that I no longer choose to do that. And for the last almost 14 years, have kept that weight off and intend to keep it off the rest of my life. But that's one of the challenges, is dealing with family members, dealing with friends. Sometimes it's a spouse or a partner that if they see that perhaps the husband sees that the wife is getting attention, particularly from the opposite sex because they're losing weight, or sometimes if the wife sees that the husband is getting attention, particularly from the opposite sex because he's lost weight, well, there's sure that drive there to go buy them Haagen-Dazs or go buy them a box of chocolates or encourage them to eat, because the fear is if they get to their goal weight, then they'll no longer need their spouse or their partner, and they're going to leave their spouse and partner for somebody else. What's important is that you stick true to yourself, that you honor yourself, your goals, your commitments to yourself, that you allow yourself to get to a healthy weight, and also stay in relationship with your partner, with your spouse, with your family, with your friends. Be open, be honest with them, talk, laugh, share your heart, without falling in the trap of food equals love. And, oh, if you only love me, you'd clean your plate. You know, I can love my friends, I can love my family members without having to empty my plate. Self-hypnosis. Use your light switch self-hypnosis 5 times a day, every day, with written suggestions or power minutes, putting you back in control of what you eat, how much you eat, and ultimately your weight. I'm Roger Moore, and this is Hypnosis Health Info.